As part of the cost control process, we need also to understand how to manage the cost baseline deviation. Cost baseline deviation signify a gap between planned and actual costs, often due to the unforeseen expenses or inaccurate estimates. So these cost baseline deviations occur when there is an actual expenses exceed the planned budgets. Managing these cost baseline deviations ensures the financial control and project success. Remember that the early identification and resolution prevent cascading the impact. Here are the, let's say, key strategies you as a project manager can, let's say, implement to respond to the cost overruns. So responding to cost overruns begins with identifying the root cause. By performing a root cause analysis will help you to identify the source of the overrun. After that, you need to reallocate resources to prioritize the critical tasks. Also, you need to implement cost-cutting measures without, let's say, compromising the quality. So these are the top key, let's say, strategies to respond to these cost overruns, which could impact the budget baselines. For example, let's say there is a software development project where it experience overruns due the long testing periods can address the issue by streamlining the test cycles or reallocating the resources. By taking these corrective actions promptly, teams can realign their cost with the baseline. Change management also as part of the cost control. Change management is essential in controlling the costs when the project conditions shift. You, as a project manager, you need to evaluate and approve the change requests that impact the cost. And if you recall, when we say that to ensure that your project is, let's say, realigned or rebased to the baseline, you will need sometimes to, let's say, follow the change control process by submitting a change request, understanding its impact on the project constraints, then evaluating and let's say recommending to approve the change request to realign the project cost to its baseline. Also, after you, let's say, in case that you have followed the change management and cost control, after you evaluate and get the approval on the change request, you need to update the cost baseline to reflect the approved changes. The most important thing here also is to communicate these changes in terms of changing in the cost baseline to the stakeholders transparently with the justified reasons. Financial risk management. So, financial risk management involves proactive identification and mitigation of potential issues. And these financial risk management or identification, you can identify these potential financial risks during the project's execution. Think of using the contingency reserves to mitigate these unexpected costs. If in case that it was one of these risks that you have identified and you set the mitigation plan to utilize the contingency reserve to mitigate these unexpected cost risks. Also, you need to have regular monitoring to the financial performance metrics to prevent any surprises. So the continuous monitoring, it help you by having a proactive corrective action before they escalate. Let's take here an example. In case if there is an event planning project, unexpected, let's say, venue costs has increased, and these can be offset or these can be resolved by utilizing and using the contingency reserves. The regular monitoring ensures that the risks are addressed before they escalate, safeguarding the project financial health. Now let's see these tools that can be used to manage the cost baseline deviations. Tools like the EVA, again, which is the earn value analysis, helps you to track the performance. Also, this tool of forecasting the future costs with the updated estimate at completion, which is the EAC, which we have already covered in the previous sessions. You might also utilize or leverage these project management softwares to ensure that you have a real-time insights, which will enable you to take a corrective action proactively. Remember also when we talked about the forecasting and analyzing the project trends, you have multiple times a negative, let's say, CPI or cost performance index. These trends also will help you, let's say, predicting the future cost overruns. So you need to readjust your baseline or cost baseline based on these trends. Let's look at one of these case studies where um, project manager has managed the cost baseline deviation. Let's say in a renewable energy project, cost overruns occurred due to delays in acquiring specialized equipment. The project team has reallocated the resources as a corrective action and renegotiated the supplier contracts. Again, so the scenario here we are dealing with that addressing the overruns in a renewable energy project. And the cost or the root cause of that, it was due the delays in acquiring the specialized equipment. So the corrective action or the solution here the team has followed is by reallocation of the resources and renegotiating with the suppliers. The outcomes here, it has reduced the overruns by 15% while maintaining the timeline. And this case here highlights the importance of having a flexibility and proactive problem solving in managing the deviations. How to prevent future cost deviation? Preventing the deviation starts with accurate initial estimates and applying the lessons learned and trend analysis. By improving the initial cost estimating accuracy and incorporating the lessons learned from the past deviations, also establishing a robust monitoring and control mechanism, this is how you could also analyzing the forecasts and the trends that your project is following in terms of cost spending can prevent these future cost deviation issues. Communicating the cost baseline updates. So effective communication here with the key stakeholders to manage the cost deviations is very important. So you as a project manager ensure that you provide regular updates to the stakeholder on the cost status. Keep them aligned. You may also use these visual aids like dashboards for clear communication between you, the team, and the stakeholders. So all of you will be at the same page. Ensure the alignment on the cost management strategies, which we already have covered in the previous slides. Now let's understand what are these benefits that it could bring you as a project manager when having, let's say, an effective management of the cost baseline deviation. Proactively managing the cost deviation ensures that the financial health of the project and reduces the likelihood of the future issues. Also, it ensures the project financial health and predictability. By keeping and regular monitoring of these cost baseline deviations, and you as a project manager, you keep taking a corrective action, you keep the project financial health in a good, let's say, shape. Also, it builds a trust between you and the stakeholders through the transparent management and transparent communication. It also reduces the likelihood of future overruns by understanding the project trends, the nature, so you can apply these lessons to the future project. Summarize our session here on managing the baseline deviations. We say that managing the cost baseline deviations is critical to maintaining the project financial stability. By leveraging these tools like the EVA, the trend analysis, and implementing a robust change management practices, also for, let's say, fostering a transparent communication with the stakeholders, project managers can effectively address the deviations and deliver a successful outcomes.